Yes, absolutely. Just to give you a little background. So my degree is in social work. So I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I've been practicing for about 30 years now, mostly on the East Coast. I've worked with primarily at-risk teens, but I do individual work, working with families, couples, running groups. And as I went further into my career, I recognized and got a little disappointed that it just felt like talk therapy wasn't really helping a lot of the families I was working with and seeing young people. There wasn't a connection there. I started moving into DBT work, which was dialectical behavioral therapy by Marsha Linehan, who created an approach that kind of verified, and it was empirically based research to say, here are the techniques and the interventions at work. So I did a lot of work around that. And that also introduced me to this idea of doing somatic work, or bringing in understanding that you have to heal the body and not just the mind, where you have to have a meditative practice when you're doing DBT, and the clients do it, practitioners as well. Psychosomatic. Yeah, well, psychosomatic is what comes up exactly. Yeah, the connection. But the neuroscience now that we have today is making it a lot easier for us to understand how we can really support and help. And we were just talking about this in the corner, but what we're understanding and what we know is with any type of a disaster, immediately what happens, and if I gave you a quick neuroscience of
my job is twofold.
In any type of disaster-related incident, anything that's a shock to the system, just very simply what's happening in the body and the brain is that when things are fine, you're in rest digest state, your parasympathetic nervous system is operating. When a crisis comes up, you go into your parasympathetic state, and you go into sympathetic state. The parasympathetic state, your prefrontal cortex is online. You're working bilaterally with both hemispheres of your brain. Everything's good. This is your compassion, empathy. Everything comes from here. Things are good. You're working within your window of tolerance. Then when a crisis happens, this goes offline. Your brain is not working bilaterally as much anymore, and then it's pretty much fragmented, and then you go into what we call coping or trauma response, depending on how severe it is. If it's a trauma response or coping, it's fight, flight, freeze, appease. Right? You're going to fight your way out of this danger, and this is 10 million years old in our evolution. It helps us get away from a dinosaur if it was going to come up and grab us. Freeze is dissociating, so we block out and forget the trauma. We don't want to think about anything. And then appease, people pleasing. We put other people's need before our own, and then we neglect or stop taking care of ourselves. The other thing on the somatic level is that then the body starts shutting down, where now you're going to have a hypervigilance or be hyper aroused. You're not sleeping. You're not eating necessarily right. You're having reoccurring thoughts, preoccupation, nightmares. You become hypervigilant, or you get into the dissociative state where you're freeze, and then you're not getting out of bed. You're not able to do anything. You can't complete tasks. You take care of everyone else and can't take care of yourself. And these are okay because when it's adaptive and coping, that's fine. It becomes a problem when it becomes maladaptive. And when it's maladaptive, it means that it's interfering with your daily functioning. So a lot of the clients that are coming into me now, the thing that's happening is they're feeling this at a very high level, very intense. I usually do a simple, on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being the most anxious stress you are, 1 being the least, where are you at? Most people are coming in at a 9 or a 10 still, even after the fires. They talk about constantly experiencing, dreaming about the fires at night. And what I do when they're coming in at the first time, I have to understand, what am I looking at? And I put it in a tier system, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. If you were someone who got a late evacuation, or you saw the fires coming, or you're evacuating in the Palisades area, you're evacuating in your car with tons of people, there's a bottleneck, but now they're telling you, get out of your car and start walking to safety if you can. That's a tier 1. People that are experiencing that are finding that their executive functioning is impaired. They can't just, they start losing interest in things that they used to like to do. So anhedonia. So I have a grandparent who's like, I used to love playing with my 6-year-old granddaughter, and now I just don't have the energy or the motivation to kind of play with her. I'm noticing I'm getting irritable, angry at my partner. We're fighting a lot. Teens are just checking out. They're just not motivated to do anything, not wanting to do physical activity, sports, things like that. So all of those things, when it starts impacting or affecting your daily functioning, then we need to find out, if I do 1 or 2 sessions with you, you should start feeling a little better. And these are somatic exercises. I do not just the talking, I do breathing relaxation, visualization exercises. Most people come back the next time and say, I'm feeling better. If things are not changing, then I know it's more severe, and I'm maybe referring you to a doctor who can evaluate or say if medication management temporarily might be helpful. The only real quick thing I'll say about the medication piece is I was very against medication the first 10 years that I was in practice, but once I saw its effectiveness, when you're being treated correctly by a doctor who's trained in psychotropic medications, you do get relief pretty quickly, and the medicines we're using are safe. So maybe for 6 months to a year, you might have to be on something. And even very simply now, where you don't have to test a lot, they give you can take a DNA test, a swab, and they can do a DNA test to see which medications your body would metabolize or work best with, so you're not running all over the place trying to figure it out. But I do see what feels really good in my work. We're doing short-term crisis intervention. I'm applying the tier system. I'm differentiating between, is this C-PTSD or PTSD? PTSD is, I saw the fires, I never had issues before, now I'm having nightmares. C-PTSD is, I had all these other events prior to the fires, things have happened in my life that have been difficult, and the fires will open that door too. So prior to the fires, most people would have had maybe childhood adversity or other life experiences that were stressful, and you can ignore that, but once the fires happen, it's a Pandora's box. It opens up everything. So by session 3, now, so I start off with your fire origin story. I want to know, how did you get here? So I call it Beyond Therapy, now, before, and after. First time we're meeting, it's what's your origin story for the fire. Next, what's your origin story of where you come from, who are you? And then the after is, what do we need to do to support you, to help you based on where you are? So once we get that going, after that, the techniques that I'm teaching it's not that you need an expert or me to do this. The breathing relaxation materials, once you practice doing that, you will see that your nervous system on its own wants to come back down. Your body, your brain and your body, your spirit is saying, I just need you to pay attention to me right now. And wherever your attention goes, energy flows. So I believe from a somatic place, I did my training at the Embody Lab. What I believe, based even on the model that they used, the training platform, you don't need experts. In the classes that I were in with like 800 people from all over the world, we had massage therapists, Reiki practitioners, doctors, family members who had other family members who had chronic illnesses. So these are techniques and things anybody can learn. So hopefully in the mental health field, we're moving away from there's an expert who's going to teach or tell you how to do what you need to do to feel better, but teach you how to do what you need to do to feel better. So you're the expert over you.